Hello, welcome. I'm Noah Smith, and today I want you to take a deep breath with me, because what we're about to talk about isn't simple. It's delicate. It's one of those topics that make us stop, reflect, and even question what we understand about life, death, and what lies beyond. If you've been following the channel, thank you so much for your constant presence. If this is your first time here, I invite you now. Subscribe, activate the notification bell to receive the upcoming videos, because here we talk about spirituality, consciousness, and the mysteries of existence in a deep, respectful, and accessible way. And also take the chance to share this video with someone you believe could benefit from this reflection. Maybe a friend, a family member, someone who has recently lost a loved one. Sometimes a single word can calm a troubled heart. And of course, leave your comment below. I really want to know, what do you believe about the purpose of life? About what happens after death? Because this isn't a video with ready answers. It's an invitation to thought, feeling, and seeking. Now, yes, let's together enter a true story. A devastating plane crash, hundreds of victims, one sole survivor, and the deep questions that echo afterward. Why? Why does one live while so many depart? Come with me. The tragedy that shocked the world. It was a quiet morning in Ahmedabad, India. Air India's Boeing 787-8, Flight AI-171, was taking off bound for London. On board, 242 souls. Doctors, families, politicians, children. People with dreams, with stories. But fate had written another script. Just seconds after takeoff, the aircraft began to lose altitude. The captain desperately tried to regain control. There wasn't enough time. The plane crashed right into an urban area, hitting the BJ Medical College building, one of the largest medical complexes in the state. Fire, panic, and despair took over. Within minutes, what was meant to be a journey turned into national mourning. 241 dead on board, 28 dead on the ground. 269 stories ended. Amid the ruins, a breath of life. But amidst this desolate scene, something inexplicable happened. Vishwas Kumar Ramesh, a 40-year-old British man, was seated at 11A, near the emergency exit. When the fuselage broke apart, his seat, almost intact, was ejected. Disoriented, injured, Vishwas managed to crawl out of the destroyed structure until rescuers found him. He was the sole survivor. Imagine, you wake up, there's still fire. Screams around you fade into the silence of death, and you breathe, alone. Vishwas himself later said, "I don't know why I'm alive. I should have died with everyone else. It's like someone pulled me out. Was it luck? Coincidence, or something greater? When science can't explain." Now, this is where we begin to face one of the most uncomfortable aspects of this story, the cold reality of numbers. On a single flight, 242 people on board, only one walks away alive. On the ground, entire families, people who weren't even traveling, lost their lives when the plane crashed into the building. In total, about 269 lives, abruptly, unexpectedly, brutally ended. And then the question echoes, and maybe it echoes inside you right now. How can this be explained? How do we explain hundreds of victims and a single survivor? Science tries to find answers. Aeronautical engineers review black box data, analyze the impact angle, material behavior, wind speed, aircraft weight. Some experts point out that the position of seat 11A, near the emergency exit, may have been crucial, that the fuselage breaking right beside it could have created a kind of escape bubble, that propelled him out. But let's be honest, does that answer everything? How many other people were nearby? How many passengers just meters away lost their lives instantly? Statistics have no heart. They tell us the probability of survival in an accident of this scale is practically zero. But statistics don't help us sleep at night. They don't comfort the victims' families. They don't answer the survivor waking in the hospital asking, "Why me? Why am I still here?" And it is in that silence, in that space where science stops, that the spiritual begins to whisper, because there are questions that human logic cannot fully grasp. There are mysteries that don't fit into spreadsheets, percentages, or technical graphs. And this is precisely the point where the pain of chance meets the comfort of faith, where apparent chaos finds the possibility of a greater purpose. What happened to Vishwash Kumar Ramesh was not just improbable, it was deeply symbolic. Because when the exception defies all rules, something inside us awakens the suspicion that maybe there really is a reason. Maybe everything that seems random is not so random after all. The spiritual world's perspective. Now, when science reaches the limit of explanation, that question arises, one that crosses cultures, religions, and philosophies since the dawn of humanity. Is there a greater meaning behind life and death? For Spiritism, the answer is clear, yet deeply comforting. There is no chance. There is no death without purpose, and there is no survival without reason. According to Allan Kardec, the codifier of Spiritist doctrine, the material life we know is just a brief chapter of true existence, which is spiritual, eternal, and continuous. When we incarnate, we accept a plan. We choose, with the help of higher spirits, trials, challenges, and even the circumstances of our departure. This does not mean, in any way, that the victims of that tragic plane crash in India were condemned or punished. Each spirit lives what it needs to live. Each return to the spiritual plane happens at the right moment, for reasons that often completely escape our limited understanding. For many who departed in this accident, the earthly journey had already fulfilled its purpose. Some perhaps came for a short mission, others completed important tests, and there were those who left collectively in a group spiritual rescue, something Spiritism calls collective trials. But what about the sole survivor? Why did Vishwash Kumar Ramesh remain? The spiritual doctrine offers us some possibilities, which are not dogmas, but deep reflections. Perhaps Vishwash still has unfinished commitments in this existence. Perhaps his survival calls him to a new role, to witness, transform, serve. It wouldn't be the first time a tragedy survivor becomes an agent of change, bringing messages of hope, helping families heal emotionally, or even completely reevaluating their own life. In The Spirit's Book, Kardec teaches us, nothing happens without a cause. Chance does not exist. What seems like chance is only the effect of laws we do not know. This passage resonates strongly in the face of this story. For many of us faced with such tragedy, there seems to be only chaos and pain. But for the Spirit, there is always an invisible thread of learning, evolution, and mercy weaving through every event, even those we cannot understand, while bound by the limitations of the material plane. Vishwash was not saved by chance. He did not escape the blind laws of luck. He was preserved because there is still something to be lived, learned, or fulfilled, and perhaps his greatest mission is only just beginning. The purpose behind survival. Now I want to invite you to reflect with me on something that may go beyond what our eyes can see. When someone survives a tragedy where so many others have passed, the survivor's pain does not end with rescue. On the contrary, a new journey begins, a journey that is often accompanied by an extremely heavy emotional burden known as survivor's guilt. It is the deep feeling of guilt for being alive while others did not have the same chance. Why me? How many times must Vishwash have silently asked himself this question through sleepless nights after the accident? But within the Spiritist view, this question can take on a new dimension. For what purpose me? Because Spiritism reminds us that nothing is the work of chance. If life was preserved, there is a purpose. There is something to be accomplished, lived, shared. Many survivors of great tragedies later become instruments of transformation, not only in their own lives, but in the lives of thousands of others. They carry with them a living testimony of the fragility of existence and, at the same time, of the greatness of divine support. Let's think for a moment. How many of us wake up every day believing we will have time? Time to love later. Time to forgive later. Time to fulfill dreams later. Vishwash's experience may be for the world a call to the urgency of life, to the urgency of living fully every second we are given. Vishwash's survival may not be a privilege. It may be a commitment, a mission of service, inspiration, learning. In the spiritual world, the preservation of physical life carries responsibility. In many cases reported in Spiritist works, survivors are invited to work on behalf of other souls, bringing comfort, enlightenment, and above all, love. It may be that Vishwash, without fully understanding it, was spiritually prepared even before he was born for this mission that now begins. And here, we are also invited to ask a personal question. If today were my last day, would I have lived my purpose? Am I living the life my soul came to live? Because deep down, each of us is on our own flight. And the destiny of this flight is not just in the arrival, but in how we choose to navigate every moment of the journey. The support for those who have departed. We have spoken a lot so far about the survivor, but what about those who have passed away? What happens to them? Where are now the 269 lives that were interrupted so abruptly? For those who observe only with material eyes, death seems like a full stop, a sudden and irreversible cut in the story of a life. But Spiritism brings us a completely different and, I would say, deeply comforting understanding. There is no death. There is a return. There is continuation. There is reunion. At the moment the physical body detaches, the spirit awakens in a new dimension of life. Of course, the awakening is not always the same for everyone. Some, still strongly attached to material bonds, awaken confused, disoriented, needing support and clarification. Others, especially those who already cultivated a life of love, kindness, and spiritual understanding, awaken gently, as if simply changing clothes at the end of the day. And it is important for us to understand, no one is alone at this moment of passage. Spiritual teams, composed of beings of light, of disincarnated family members, of spiritual friends, are already waiting and welcoming these spirits at the moment of transition. Even in collective tragedies, there is planning. There is spiritual preparation long before the departure. Many of these people have already been prepared during sleep while still incarnated. They received guidance during spiritual unfolding, softening the impact of passing. Have you ever heard of people who, before great tragedies, report strange dreams, premonitions, feelings of farewell? In many cases, these are intuitions from the spirit itself, already in tune with what is to come. And here again, Spiritism teaches us something deeply comforting. There is no eternal pain. There is no definitive loss. Families separated by death will reunite. Loves are not lost in the abyss of time. True connections continue to exist, even when we cannot see them. And for those who today mourn their losses, parents, children, spouses, friends, spirituality offers the balm of hope. Reunion is a certainty. Separation is only temporary. If you have lost someone, know this: your story continues, your life continues, and love, that yes, is immortal. The lesson for each of us. Why do tragedies like this touch us so deeply? Because deep down, they remind us of the fragility of physical life. They show us that every second is a gift. The story of the plane crash in India, of the sole survivor, and the hundreds of victims is not just about them. It is about all of us. It is about realizing what really matters, about loving while we still have time, about forgiving today, about not postponing what is essential. The call to reflection. And so, we come to the end of this deep reflection on life, death, purpose, and the journey of the spirit. The plane crash in India and the story of the sole survivor show us that behind the pain and tragedy, there is a greater meaning, a call for all of us to awaken to our true essence. May we understand that life is much more than what we see. It is a school of spiritual learning, where every test, every loss, every survival has a meaning that transcends time and space. And if you felt this message touching your heart, I invite you to continue this journey with us. Share this video with those you love, because the light of knowledge and consolation can reach many souls in need. Follow the channel so that together we can keep exploring themes that uplift us, inspire us, and connect us to the truest part of ourselves. And of course, leave in the comments what this story awakened in you. What reflections arose? What feelings came to the surface? Your voice is very important in this conversation.